Okay, so just to fill in the background, you came to me looking to do a property on a seaside town and turn it using our strategy of, exchanging for a pound and getting cash back on completion, turning a guest house into an HMO. So
That's correct, yeah.
So I mentioned to you about ringing the local council and finding out whether or not what their policy was, and as quite often something got lost in transit, and you started off by chatting to them and asking them about a specific property.
That's correct.
Okay. And so we had another conversation this morning when I said, no, don't discuss a specific property, just ring back and talk to them about the general policy in that area of turning guest houses into HMOs. What was the answer?
Magic. They told me what I wanted to hear.
Okay, and what did they tell you?
They actually said that based on the local plan, which was last updated in 2017, they only put restrictions on hotels because they try to keep those for the tourism industry.
Yeah.
However, guest houses, they can look at that on a case-by-case basis.
Okay.
I did some further digging as well, and I found out that on that same street, there's actually a 9-bed HMO.
Okay.
License at the moment. There's a couple of 5-bed and a 9-bed. So I think if we try and apply for a 10-bed, that shouldn't really be a problem.
Yeah, and isn't it amazing that when you ask a question in a slightly different way, you get the answer that you need?
Do you know, the best part is actually when I call back the council, I phrased it the way you said it to me. And the lady initially tried to push me back towards my mistake that I made initially. So she was actually asking me for specifics. And I just said, no, I'm looking for a general policy because I'm looking to invest in the area and that kind of stuff. And information came out for free.
Yeah, I mean, when someone's talking about investing in the area, for them, that's like the magic words, yeah. So
no, that was really cool actually. Yeah. So also, Glenn, while I have you on, I also did a bit more research on the property itself, and I actually found exactly what it is using Google Map and stuff, and I now have the detail of the place itself. Do you think I should still go through the agents, or should I try and contact the owner directly?
Look, your best deals you'll ever get will come from agents for stuff that's not on the market, okay? That they tell you before it hits the market, okay?
Okay.
So, have you already contacted the agent already?
I only spoke to them once to tell them to ask if the property was still on the market.
Right, and did they take your details?
Not to my knowledge, no. No, they didn't actually, because I didn't give my email address or anything.
Okay, because if they have a record of you ever contacting them and speaking to them about an address, then they've got the right to go back to the seller if they sell it direct and don't pay them and get the funds off them afterwards, yeah?
Okay.
Okay, now you could go and knock on the door. Whether or not the guest house is up and running or not is another thing.
No, it's closed, but there's a phone number and an email address, so I was just going to try and get through that first and see.
Look, they might turn around and say, please deal with the agent. On the other hand, they might be willing to chat to you. And, if that email address, is it in the window of the property?
No, they actually have like some sort of a website, which isn't really a website. It's like a blank page with a bit of writing on it.
Well, that's cool because you found it online, so that should be okay. Okay. Now, tell me, how much are they looking for it, and how many rooms are there?
It's 180k. There is at the moment they run it as an 8-bed guest house, but there's potential for 2 more bedrooms because the owner is now including their living quarters in there.
Okay. Now, basically, there's two ways of financing guest houses, okay, or hotels. And our process is basically to take an option on it, and then subject to getting change of use, you then buy it, okay? And when you exchange, you get it licensed. Once you get it licensed, you can then get your third party to buy it at the new value, and basically it's just a way that the last one I normally explain to people, there's 24 grand cash back on completion with less than a £2,000 outlay for the whole process. So it's amazing you can get paid cash to buy something high cash flow. Now, basically, every room needs to owe less than 20 grand for you to be able to get cash back on completion. Okay?
Yeah.
If they're en suites, that hits more like 25 grand. So you need to double check some things. So if the ensuite going rate is 110, 120 a week, then you'll be all right at 25 grand a room. And if it's like there's not ensuites and it's normally 80 quid a room, then that brings you to 20 grand a room. Now that means that using a commercial mortgage based on cash flow, okay, the value should be greater than the bricks and mortar valuation.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, first of all, 180 doesn't necessarily mean 180. It might mean 160. Or on the other hand, it might mean 150 now and 50 later over a period of time. You need to get hold of the vendor and then we'll have a conversation with them.
Okay, no problem.
All right, so once you've got their contact details and we can set up a three-way call, I'll talk to them. And what the most important thing to do is to find out what they're trying to achieve out of it, okay? Once we know what they're trying to achieve, we can build a win-win deal into it. If we don't ask them what they want, we're only guessing.
Sound. No, I understand now.
And normally, when I do a negotiation with someone like that, I'll say to them, look, if I could wave a magic wand for you, what would happen? Okay?
Okay.
All right, so that's the next stage, is to get their contact details and, make contact and build some rapport, okay?
No problem. I will do that then.
All right, okay. Cheers, Cedric.
Thanks.
No problem,
Cheers.
You're welcome. So, Kay says, apart from using commercial property for a combination of retail and residential, can it be used for only residential? Is that a good strategy? Kay, much of the ground floors of commercial resi combinations tend to not be able to get planning if it's going to upset the high street. On the other hand, if it's not going to upset the high street, then perhaps you can get ground floor. So it's on a kind of deal by deal basis. There isn't any particular rules. You just need to look at each individual one, and maybe a quick conversation with a local planning agent who knows and has probably come across it before will tell you exactly what you need to know. And also, if you read the local plan, that should also let you know. And that was another thing I said to Cedric to do, was to get hold of the local plan and talk to them about the local plan stuff. Mick Simpson says, I have a commercial conversion I need the next one to have a quick look at. Is that something you would do? Mick, is it, I'll tell you what, Mick, tell you what we'll do. If you can email me the request, I'll get you set up on my Tuesday webinar when I do deal analysis. And they'll send you the link and I'll go through it with you on my Tuesday webinar and work out exactly. So what you need to do is send the link, the Rightmove link or whatever it is, so I can see the property when we discuss it live. We have a look at the viability, the numbers, and see whether, yes, it looks like there's something that you could make money out of, or no, there's no money to be had out of it. So that's kind of what we do on the Tuesday webinars. Dave says, what's happening with the hedge fund investor? I'm interested in participating. That's great, because I'm going to be working with Stuart, who's on tomorrow, to acquire properties for JVing with people to buy the properties to then sell to the hedge fund. So drop me an email and we can be in contact with you. Drop your number on your email and we can talk a bit more about it. Alex says, is the open market bridging strategy of buying 30% below market value, refurbishing and refinancing, or just refinancing after 6 months, still available during the pandemic? Alex, I'm going to be going in detail. Yes, of course it is, if you structure it right. I've got my 3-day Zoom training Friday, Saturday and Sunday, 4 or 5 hours a day, 97 quid, and all of that is in there. Okay, I'll go through a lot of the creative strategies and a lot of information over the 3 days. Starts at 10 every day, finishes about 3. Gregory says, hi Glenn, hope you're well. My question is about sourcing. Thinking about a few trips to North, Liverpool, Newcastle, been a list of possibilities. Do you think these are good places and anywhere else you'd recommend? Thanks for your help. Newcastle is a bit weird. I would more than likely, if I was going, look, for sourcing, clients are looking for cash flow. Okay, Liverpool, you've got to be very, very careful that you don't go in an area that's got far too many HMOs in it, so therefore supply demand, the occupation levels are quite low comparatively. So Liverpool isn't the best place, although going back 10 years ago there was certainly the most properties available in the right price bracket to do it. Newcastle is a little bit on the expensive side, but certain parts of Durham work. I'd be putting, it depends really on what your clients want. So, and when you're sourcing, it's a little bit like a chicken and egg. Literally, from a chicken and egg perspective, do we find a customer that we then go and buy a property for, or do we find a property that we then sell to lots of different customers, hoping one will want them? I would say you can do a lot of network events online now, and you can introduce yourself and try and find yourself a customer, and then they will tell you where they specifically want. On the other hand, if they said a town and you went up there, or you even went to an online network event in that area, what could then happen is, you could work with someone in that area where you find the clients and they find the properties because they're local to that area. So that's all Christos, who's been on here a couple of times, actually does sourcing and teaches sourcing. So I'm pretty sure we've got a video or something we can send you with a lot more information on if you needed to. Catherine says, if a landlord wants to sell but doesn't have a licence, what do I need to ask him? Right, so Catherine, if you don't mind, I'm going to jump on and ask you some questions, because that's a little bit too not detailed enough for me to understand. So Catherine, I've unmuted you, but you need to unmute your end and then you can ask the questions. What I'll do is I'll leave you unmuted so you can play around with it. But I'm assuming that you're meaning he wants to sell an HMO, but it doesn't have a licence. I don't know, I can't, until you can unmute yourself and I can ask more questions. It's a little bit difficult to work that one out for you. Right, Mike says, any ideas on how to get a reluctant management company to take action regarding general repairs badly needed in the community areas, carpets, painting, letterbox effects, inability, amount achievable to rent the flat? Yeah, Mike, what I would do is I'd get all the residents together, they're probably all on the same belt, and you can by majority take over the freehold. So if enough of you get together in the block, you can take over the freehold, and then you can deal with it all yourself. Alex said he's booked on the 3-day. Cool. Okay, I look forward to helping you. And yeah, you asked about the buying strategy, 30%. Yeah, we will be covering that in quite a lot of detail. Okay, Gregory says he's sourcing for himself for income and appreciation. So, okay, so if it's appreciation, Liverpool shouldn't be on your list. Newcastle shouldn't be on your list. You should be looking, rather than areas where you can buy properties for 50, 60, 70 grand, you should be looking for 3-bed properties at around 100, 110, 120 grand. So places like Nottingham, but not Article 4, so similar areas to Nottingham. Lorna says didn't get the builder that was recommended. Okay, I'm not sure, Lorna, whether or not that person emailed it in, because I haven't done my emails. I've been in Leeds all day looking at some deals for some clients who are knocking down 2 properties and building a block of around about 12 flats. So we just did an assessment today whether or not it's viable or not. Right, Palmetto says, I have a plot of land in High Wycombe and the broker told me is on for 685. However, I had a chat with the vendor direct and he said he's happy with 500. The question is, can I structure it where at 685 in exchange at 500, but for funding purposes we've got 685. Yeah, okay, I have a charge for 185, so it's refunded on the same. Yeah, basically, Palmetto, what you would do, and then it would be classified as vendor finance. Or no, better still, tell you what, get someone to take an option on it at 500, sell it on to you for 685, you transact at 685, and it's a unique type of option which gives the nominee that you use to take the option the difference between the 500 the vendor wants and the 685 you're paying. So your nominee gets the 185 cash back, which however you want to then deal with it between yourselves is up to you. So yeah, that's how I would structure that. That's fairly easy to do. So Catherine says, I'm asking on behalf of someone else. I don't know the details. I'll try and get some more information. No problem, Catherine. I think next Thursday I'll be running another Q&A. So we can kind of take it from there. Palmetto, yeah, Mohit can do exactly what we're saying. Gregory says, can I be cheeky and ask another? Property in Scotland, what are the pitfalls or main differences to England? Okay, in Scotland, basically they're pre-valued and you buy them pre-valued, so the valuation's already been done. Options are outlawed, but I've been up there and spent time with solicitors and we've got round that. So it's only really that once you start, and I think that the gazumping possibilities are greatly reduced because of the legal system there. So it's slightly different, not a lot of different, but there are subtle differences. And if you're going to go and buy some properties up there, you'll find out very quickly what they are. And I'm sure when you speak to a solicitor, they'll walk you through. But there's nothing really to be worried about or to look out for, apart from the fact if you do put an offer that's accepted, and that's basically then a done deal and you can't change your mind. From Dave Bird, then I found an opportunity to London on the market for 700 grand and it will take 620. Okay, that's kind of nice. But why? Let's come and have a speak to you, Dave, and let's see where we are with that one. So, hi Dave, how can I help you with this question? On the market for 700, owner will take 620. How long has it been on the market for?
Hi, can you hear me?
Yeah, got you loud and clear.
Okay, that's great. Been on the market for before COVID, about 2 months before that.
Okay.
So it's a few months now, about 4 or 5 months.
Okay.
It needs some work.
Sorry?
Sorry, it needs a little work.
Okay.
And spoke to the owner, and he'd take a lower price. And it sounded like it might fit that option arrangement you mentioned just a few minutes ago.
All right. Well, look, let's have a look at the options here. Okay. Because if you spend how much on it, will it be worth how much?
It needs some light refurbishment, not much. More superficial than anything else.
What
Maybe about
20?
25.
30, okay, 25, 30 grand. Okay, so once you've spent that, what's it going to sell for?
Probably about 800.
Okay, because that's quite a lift for that amount. And generally, if it started off on the market at 700, now it's dropped to 620, the 700 is the figure that we'll end up selling at. All right, a couple of choices here. You could say to the vendor, look, great, let's exchange contracts at 620. Is they living there at the moment, or is it vacant?
It's vacant.
Okay, so just say to your fancy JV, I'll spend 30 grand needs doing. We'll put it on the market. You'll get the 620 that you're asking for, and I'll give you 25% of the uplift in it after my costs. So, if you sell it for 800 and your costs are 30, that means you get 620, you get your 30 back, that's 650. There's 150 grand, he gets 25% of it, you get 75%. You've not bought it, okay? You've not had to complete on it, you've not had to pay stamp on it, you've not had to fund the mortgage payments on it. You just literally walk in, do the refurb and sell it on. So that's probably the ideal situation because you can offer him more than 620. The minute you start talking about buying it with the stamp duty and all that stuff, that's going to kill that, and that's going to make that margin hardly worth doing. Okay.
And presumably I need some kind of contract to prevent him from selling it after
Yeah, of course. I mean, that's you need to have. Sorry, I've had the question so many times. I know. The solicitors are very used to doing these, and power of attorney to be able to complete on the contract if you need to at the end. Different ways of doing it, but certainly even at 620, even if you said to him, look, we think you're saying it's worth 700 and I've dropped it to 620, I'd like to complete on it with you at 700, and there's a legal way for me to get my 80 grand back, are you up for it? And that way I don't have to put so much deposit down. So that's plan B, but I would really be looking at doing a delayed completion on it, yeah?
Right, yeah.
Rather than the thing I was talking about earlier.
Yeah. And how did that you take an option and you get the valuation at the higher price? How does that work?
What happens is your nominee takes an option at 620, and the option agreement is an unusual one because normally an option stops them from selling it, but this one doesn't. It just says that should you sell it for a higher figure, the option holder gets the difference, your nominee, yeah? So therefore, if the owner then sells it to you for 700, your nominee gets the 80 grand cash back. So you have to put your deposit in and all that and transact at the higher value, but because your nominee holds an option on it, the owner will get their 620 and your nominee will get 80.
Right. And if he doesn't pay him,
well, he hasn't got a choice because it's contracted. You know that he has a solicitor that puts a charge on the property, a deed of trust, which means that when the property sells, it's paid because it has to be because it's a legal document.
Okay.
Yeah, you don't have to worry about the legal process and all these. It's all tucked up, and you know we've done these hundreds of times. Okay? I know. I can understand like your thinking about that's a bit, but we've covered these. I mean, I've fucked up several times. One of them for £250,000. I ain't going to do that again. Okay.
No. No. Okay. Thanks for your help.
Okay, no problem. You're welcome. Amric says you mentioned taking out an option at 500 by A and another, and you purchased at 670. If you're getting finance, how do you get over the 6 month rule? It's not completed. It's the person that takes an option on it has got an option on it. The actual transaction takes place between you, the buyer, and the original seller. Just your nominee gets paid out at the end. The difference. Mick says, well, here we go. What do I think of SIPs and SASs? Well, they're controlled by companies, pension companies normally, and you can utilise them normally for commercial properties rather than residential. But you know, it depends. You need to have conversations with them. It's probably also a conversation for Simon, our Section 24 man. Maria said men explain. I'm pretty sure that. Yeah, men explain again. Example, right. Maria says, can you explain again the example of the option at 685 and the vendor wanting 500? Yeah, I think I've already explained it again. Christopher says, late commission, how does it work? What do you look out for? The negotiation is key. It's not easy to get one for an estate agent, so if you're direct to vendor, it's much easier. And it's not a 2-minute answer, Chris. This is kind of high profit stuff, and I hold my mentees' hands throughout the process, normally doing the negotiation for them, because on many occasions they've said that they've told them everything, and I know when they come and ask for proof of funds on a delayed completion that they obviously haven't explained it because we're not actually buying it. So yeah, lots of little challenges to that along the way, but you know, they are highly profitable when you do them, right. Gregory, Wales is the same legal system as the UK. Yep, there are very cheap properties there, and there is just dead, and there's no investment potential. Yeah, I mean, but there is grants, okay, and quite often if you buy the property there, you can get a grant for a refurb, and the grant and the mortgage is greater than what it's going to cost you. So, and you can make £300 a month off of it. So, take a look at that option on the grants. Palmetta says, would you say that converting the garage into another room adds as much value as a loft conversion in comparison to what's spent on the work versus return? It's obviously cheaper. It's about 15 grand to convert a double garage, 12 grand, maybe 20, 12-ish for a single garage. Could potentially do it for 6, depending on your builder. Would it add value? You losing the value of the garage. So it depends on the area. Sometimes some areas the cost, cheaper areas, the cost is greater than the added value. So again, let's be specific. Let's have a look at the deal, and let's have a look at what's worth doing to it to maximise the profit. Right, so Eric says, will it work if you build in a 300k plus area, like doing title split and build on the side plot? Probably just about, Eric. Probably just about in the £300 a square foot area. To make sure you've got planning as part of the deal, i.e. subject to planning. Fokin says, I hope you're well. I'm joining you on the course this weekend. Thanks. My question is, what is your opinion for potential strategies in places like Greece or Spain where properties are cheaper than in the UK? Best regards. Well, first of all, pigs. Portugal, Italy, Greece, Spain. Okay. Very hard to get mortgages. I would say if you want a holiday home, you can refinance a property in the UK to fund a holiday home. That's cool. If you're buying it in euros, rent it out in euros. Don't cross apples with oranges, otherwise current currency fluctuations could mess you up. I don't believe that the title of investing abroad, it used to be speculation because values were going up, and one person would buy the plot, and as it was built they'd sell it off so somebody else could buy it and they could make money. Not happening right now as far as I'm aware. Buy somewhere for yourself. Now, for instance, if you want to go to Spain, would you want to buy somewhere off the bank worth $1 million where you can get it for 800 grand? Or would you, and you're putting in a huge deposit or even buying cash, or do you want to find a £1.5 million property that is only worth $1 million, but you can take over a £1.5 million mortgage on the property and end up getting the benefits of it without it costing you anything than the monthly payments? Different ways of doing things, different legal systems in the different countries that you mentioned. I don't know much about the Greek system. I do know about the Spanish one. I would say if you want to make money in property, stick to the UK. If you want to make money somewhere else, go and spend a year over there and learn it inside out and backwards. Find someone like me who knows the market and the tricks, learn it all, and then fill your boots. Me, in this country, there's huge potential if you're prepared to put the work in. The grass that's greener on the other side is a load of bollocks. RB says, why is it harder to buy after 4 properties? Your mortgage lending gets more stress tested. How do you overcome this problem? You just do. With a decent broker, you'll get around it. Okay, and maybe it's time to change lender. Okay, Alex, need your advice. One vendor is selling a masonette in Epping. We know him personally because a couple of years ago we managed Airbnb of his masonette for him. Last year, he put his money he put his property on the market for 400 grand. This is the same price he paid when he bought it. There's a psychological fee. Right now, he changed agency and dropped the price to 370. Is there something we can do to offer him to get this property? It's ground floor, purpose-built masonette, so we can only do refurb to increase the value. The property also has a freestanding. Look, I don't think at that price bracket there's anything in it. If you could spend 25 grand and sell it for 500, it'd be worth doing a delayed completion. But 395 stamp duty, cost of buying and selling the property. You'd have to buy a property for 300 to make 20 odd grand, selling it at 400 with a 20 grand refurb. So I don't think there's anything in that, Alex. Palmetto says, question on a nominee, are they liable for any taxes during to make a profit in the option agreement? Not if the accountant sets it up as all part of the same thing, and it depends, you just need to set it up right. That's why when you join our program you get all the people around you to make sure it's all set up right, like the accountants and the solicitors. Palmetto, not sure where that comes from. No profit but a paper trail. I don't know what your meaning is, sorry. Lorna says, how viable is service accommodation or holiday let? And what's the best way to purchase these? I'm looking for somewhere to escape to and will let when I'm not there. Lorna, if you're kind of living there, you can rent a couple of rooms long term. If you're doing service accommodation, then you kind of might even like to be buying a guest house with owner's accommodation in it or something like that. But we'll have a chat on our next conversation. Any ideas where to buy holiday? Lorna, if you want to go and do it for you, where do you want to buy it, and then go there and then find one? Okay. Kay says, what are your top 3 rules for deciding on a town to invest in for single let, buy to let, being relying on property prices in the town centre, number of currently advertised rental properties, and the rental cost? Okay, where do I start? It varies from strategy to strategy. So what we need to do is take a bigger overview and look at what you're looking to achieve. Then come up with a business plan for you and pick the right strategies. Now, the top 3 things, the rules within each strategy are different. And different strategies work in different areas. So it's a great question. What are your top 3 rules for deciding on a town to invest in? I would say the right price bracket, where you get capital appreciation and you can go direct to vendor and use the discount that you get for your deposit. Just like Milton Keynes was when I was doing my stuff, you just need to find somewhere to replicate that. Okay, right, well, that kind of brings us very close to 6:45. There, we've run out of questions. I hope I've been a help for you this evening. Tomorrow evening, we're going to be specifically looking at a strategy of buying property, doing them up, refinance them, getting all your money out, plus a bit. I think Stuart got 9 out of his first one, and if he wasn't impatient and got a lower loan to value, he would have got 20 out of his second one. So he's actually getting paid to buy property. Stuart's going to be talking to us tomorrow evening. Thanks very much for joining us tonight. I hope you have a very good evening. Take care and have a great night, and most of all, be safe.